And we are back. How the hair are you? This is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I am joined with my in-studio guest.
Hi.
So we have Miss Maryam. She is a licensed cosmetologist and a educator, and then we have Keisha. Now, do you teach as well?
Not currently.
Not currently. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows who you are, and you know when you speak, maybe you should announce.
Hi, I'm Miss Maryam.
Well, not now. I'm
No,
just
I'm
talking
just
about
kidding.
if you say something in the future. Yeah, so in the last segment, we were talking about how people are losing their hair around their perimeter. But then we also ended with you saying that sometimes stylists will not, I'm losing my train of thought. So I was making the point that sometimes stylists will not give information or homework, so to speak, because they are wanting their clients to come back and pay them money as opposed to empowering them to be able to maintain their hair on their own. And so you said you wanted to make a comment about that.
Absolutely. I believe that your job is harder when you don't educate your client on homework, home hair care, and it's only going to make them better. My experience is the client appreciates you more when you tell them some things that they can prevent. I mean, I want to say I lost my train of thought.
Contagious, I apologize.
To prevent certain hair woes that they may have at home, that every time they come into you, you're working twice as hard to fix the same problem. If you don't educate them, they sometimes keep repeating the same thing and then wonder why they're not getting results. And clientele is built off of results. I wanted something, I went in, and she was able to help me accomplish it. And I believe that if it takes two. If one person is doing all the work, then it's like your team is weak in one way or another. So if I'm telling you what to do at home, I don't feel threatened by you knowing what to do. I just feel like it's going to help both of us get you to the goal that you're trying to reach. So,
And it helps give us more credibility as well as professionals.
And that's Keisha.
Yeah, so actually it is our job to educate the client. Once they sit in our chair, it helps build trust, and like you said, it's a team effort. Our clients, once they leave the salon, they are our walking billboard. So even if you're not in with me, or I won't see you within the next 2 weeks or so, I want your hair to look good either way, and that's because I have educated you on how to maintain that style, what product to use, what product not to use.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, especially as someone who is a customer at times. I want to have the information and the education on how to do my hair properly.
yeah. And then the client who you did talk to, you took an extra moment to tell them what to do at home. Perhaps they're the type of client who can't come regularly. When someone sees their hair looking beautiful because you've educated them, they're still your client. They're going to refer them to you. You're going to be the first person that comes to mind when someone asks them who did your hair. It's going to be you. So it's kind of like you're benefiting in more than one way as a stylist when you do take the extra time to tell them how to maintain what you just worked to make happen in their hair. So I don't feel like it's a threat at all. And the stylist who does feel like it's a threat, this is a career and not a hobby. So when you know your client's hair, like you know it, you build a relationship with the actual strands. The hair behaves in a way where your job is so much easier as opposed to assembly lining the client, getting them in and out, where each time they come in, you're more focused on the style. Well, if they don't have any hair, meaning it's damaged, you're not going to have any hair to style, and they're going to result to another way. But the average woman is going to want to be able to enjoy her hair, and if you're not telling them how to keep those strands healthy, then they're not ever going to be able to enjoy their hair to the fullest potential.
Yeah, thank you for that. Like I said, as a customer, I can truly appreciate that, and that is why I refer people to you because I know that you're going to do right by them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need more people like you, because like I said, I've heard the opposite. They want to get people in their chair. They don't want to empower them and have it for fear that they will go and stop coming to them. And that's just, I don't think that that's right, but that's me. So I wanted to hit on a little bit more of what Shirley Martin had to say on Facebook, because she brought up some very good points. And we have spoken about this in the past, but I don't think we can scream it from the rooftops enough. But the braids and the pulling the hair too tight. And I want to talk about that a little bit later after we go through some of these other issues. But what's been your experience with having clients who have had braids in their hair that has just been pulled too tight?
Well, I call those the vacationers. Sometimes the client will get the micro braids or box braids or whatever is kind of popular for a vacation, because they don't want to have to worry about their hair. But if my particular client chooses that route to go, I always tell them, your hairline is the most fragile area of your head, and this is so temporary. It's supposed to be a temporary thing for you to do, so they do not have to braid that tight. And if you guys can think about your hair strand, individual hair strand, how small it is, and grabbing 3 of them to attach some synthetic hair to that, and then the weight of the synthetic hair is pulling on 3 strands of hair, and I'm,
You're
exaggerating a little bit, but
yeah.
I'm trying to give you guys a visual, okay? The hairline in particular, now I've seen it cause other areas of the head to suffer as well. Those repeated braiders, the clients would get them over and over again, but the hairline in particular, it being a finer in diameter is what we talked about earlier, and you putting the weight of something synthetic that's also heavy, when it grows out, is even putting more stress on the hair shaft. It's inevitable for that hair to loosen up and then eventually fall out, and then you're wondering why it's thinning, but then you may want to go get those braids again because you like the aesthetics of it. Well, to me, it's compromising much more, and I would rather you just try to take a moment to consider everything before you go ahead and do what's easy. And furthermore, though, the dirt that accumulates on the scalp, the shedded skin that happens on the scalp, all of that is surrounded by the demarcation line between the braid and your new growth. And so also that can cut off, I'm going to use another metaphor, the circulation of your actual hair strand, and then cause it to break. So it's too much tension, and it causes tension alopecia or traction alopecia around the hairline, which sometimes is irreversible. So I just want the people to reconsider or consider all the variables before they try to do an easy fix, just so they won't have to comb their hair.
So you use some terms that I'm not sure that people are familiar with. You talked about the line of demarcation.
Yes.
So can you please explain exactly what that is?
The line of demarcation it goes across the board. It's the part of the hair where new growth starts and either processed, color treated hair begins. So think about a hair strand. If you get a relaxer, I'm going to use this as an example, and your hair grows half an inch, quarter to a half an inch a month. So about 2 months, it's time for you to get a touch-up. Well, the hair that's new, the curly textured hair at the root, when it comes into the line that separates the already straight hair from that part of the hair is considered a demarcation line. You got. Was that a good? And also,
I hope it was good. I understand what it is.
Exactly. Us in the studio understand. But another analogy would be, for those of you who I may have lost you, is color. If you color hair strand and it's red, for example, the part of the hair that's still black that comes from your root, the line that separates the 2 colors would be considered a demarcation line. Okay?
That's correct.
All right.
Okay.
So in other words, it's natural as opposed to something that's been chemically treated.
Exactly. And in reference to the braids, you can use the same kind of theory. Is the hair that's grown out from the actual braid, the hair that's braided and it's hanging, the demarcation line is left with all the tension from the weight of the braid, and that part of the hair can actually suffer from it if you're not careful, or you leave those braids in for way too long.
Okay. So one of the things that you talked about that I want to clarify, you talked about the vacationers.
Yes.
And wearing braids. So there are a lot of people who do get braids when they want to go on vacation.
Yes.
However, there are some who make it more of their style,
Yes.
permanent style, or I'll say long-term style.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when you have a tendency to do that every day, I mean, you may take them out and then put them right back in.
Right.
Unfortunately, the constant pulling of the hair, and what I say is it traumatizes the hair follicle.
Yes.
We don't really know why. Some people are more susceptible to hair loss and some people aren't, because I have a friend, she can wear braids, she's over 40 and she has been able to wear braids her entire adult life, and she does not have a problem with her hairline. Her hair is actually gorgeous. And it makes me wonder, why are some people just more susceptible to getting it? Because I can't wear braids, because when I was natural, one of the ways I wanted to grow my hair out was, trying to make my life easier and not deal with the tight curl. I wore braids and I could see that the hair was coming out of the follicle. So I wonder what it is about me that makes me more susceptible to it and other people not. I would say more people have the problem of when you pull on the hair too frequently, that you will start losing it.
Well, that takes me back to the education of the client. Like, everybody's not a candidate for everything, and even the braider should not. If you come in, she should be able to analyze your hair in a way to say, well, your hair is kind of weak and this will hinder your hair, in one way or another. I have clients who, now, when I say educate the client, every client does not want the education. Now, it's some clients that aren't good candidates for extensions and braids, but they do it anyway because they want to look a certain way, or they want their life to be easier, like the reason why you got them. But to me, if you're going to have to work twice as hard to rebuild your hair afterwards, wouldn't you rather just go through the motions and deal with your own hair? It's like, if it's going to make you lose all of your hair, is that style worth it? That's the question to the consumer and the stylist. It's like, would I come back to you? Because the client, see, what some people don't understand about the client is they're not going to say, those braids took my hair out. They're going to say, she took my hair out. Whatever that stylist that put them in, whatever stylist did the sew in, they're going to say, she made my hair come out. They're not going to.
But I think that is the responsibility of people who put the
because
braids in the hair,
because they
should know
don't
better.
educate the client. And
I don't think it has to do with educating the client. I think that the client tells them what they want and they do it regardless of whether or not
right,
it's the right thing to do.
Exactly. Omitting, yes, exactly. They let the client have the say so, as opposed to them telling them why they can't have it or that they won't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, it is the professional responsibility, because actually the client, is not their job to actually know.
Exactly.
So you have to be actually conscious client has to be conscious too of the stylist when they come in, especially if they're getting any hair added to the hair. That in between service, if that stylist actually caring for their hair in between that extension install, if it's a braiding or if it's sewing or whatnot, the stylist need to be caring for that hair in between. Now, if you're going to a stylist and all they're doing is, once they take one sewing install out, they put it right back in, but not actually nurturing the hair or giving that hair a break time in between so it can actually breathe. I would say clients need to be mindful for those type of stylists, because actually they're not helping the hair. If anything, they aiding to a lot of the problem that we are having. But like you said, it is our job as a professional to educate the client instead of allowing them to tell us what they want, but we need to let them know what's best for them for the long run. So it's okay for us stylists to decline the service.
Absolutely.
It is okay if if you're the professional or more into the integrity of the hair.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about how difficult I can be as a client, because sometimes I experiment on myself. So sometimes when I'm told you may not want to be doing this, I won't do it. I won't listen. And I am guilty of that myself. But it's not that I don't appreciate what the stylist is telling me. I may be doing something behind the scenes to see if this is going to work. For example, there are some products out there, and it's a Kerastase specific, I believe is what it's called. It's a line of products, and I believe that that particular product anchors the hair, or it has a tendency to anchor the hair more. So if I'm using that, but I'm, say, and I haven't done this, but say I want to get individuals some braids, and it's pulling on my hair, if I'm using this particular product that's supposed to help anchor my hair to prevent it from coming out, I may be doing an experiment, even though you may advise me not to get the hair. So most people are not like me.
Yeah, you're a special case.
But they may feel that, hey, I'm doing something different, or it's not going to be pulled too tight. And I've had people tell me when I was natural, oh, I don't pull too tight, and they didn't. But even though it wasn't a lot of tension, it wasn't, a lot of the bumps that pop out, it wasn't evident that it was tight, but my hair still came out.
Well, that's not the suggest that they don't braid too tight, but the weight of the extra hair could be still pulling on your hair, even if they're not grabbing it from the root. The weight of the synthetic hair, or even if it's human hair, it's weight of a different fiber other than yours that can be causing some tension or some extra pull that your hair can't handle particularly. And two, it's like, I don't do braids, but some of my clients do wear them. And to me, if I tell you, listen, I know you want these braids, but I don't suggest that you get them, and you get them anyway, after you take the braids out from your vacation or whatever, or even if you're trying to go natural, and you come back to me and it's like you have half the diameter or the half of the density of the hair that you had before, you're not going to even be happy with your hair anymore, and you're going to feel like you have to wear synthetic hair now because you're not even happy with the appearance of your hair. It's not even as full as it was. So it's kind of like you default yourself into a look that you don't even love. You just did it just because it's such a temporary downfall that's causing lifetime problems.
Yeah. It's hard for us hard-headed consumers who want to try everything, who are more into the aesthetics or the look, the temporary, as you said, and not having a true appreciation for what can happen long term. And I would say Countess Vaughn is probably like one of the stars who came out who talked about the fact that she was wearing the lace front weaves, and it's attached with glue, and that's something that Shirley Martin mentioned on her Facebook post when she was talking about don't forget the glue with the weave. And that was one of the things that I thought about Countess Vaughn and how she has long-term damage to her scalp as a result of something that was temporary, or what she thought was temporary.
And now she doesn't have options. You see her now, she is not a fan or feeling as beautiful without her hairline being present. So now she wears weave. It's like she has to in order for her to feel okay about herself.
Right.
Like, is it worth it, people? Like, looks can be deceiving. What you see other people do, you don't know what they went through or what steps or what's going on under that commercial hair, that they're commercial meaning weaves and extensions and things like that. what process are they going through when they go home and they take all of that out? It's like, can they wear their own hair, or are they defaulted into wearing, that's not even a word, by default they have to wear, this, because they don't have any other choice. And we like choices. So when you can tell a hairstylist who has passion and they care about your best interest. You can kind of hear it in their tone when you first call in for that appointment. And like Keisha said earlier, we can refuse a client and you can refuse a stylist. It's your choice to spend your money where you want to spend it. And if that person doesn't feel like, if you don't feel like that stylist is having your best interest at heart, it's your choice whether you want to continue on with that service or, keep searching.
Yeah, so thank you for that. But the last thing that Shirley said was the ponytails being pulled too tight.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that that's probably secondary when it comes to, or maybe tertiary, meaning would rank third,
Mm-hmm.
because I would say the glue
Mm-hmm.
with either the weaves or the lace fronts, or having the braids pulling too tight are probably the most common reasons why you would have the hair loss along the hairline.
Yeah,
But
I mean the
you
same.
do pull ponytails tight to keep it neat, and I get it. And you
Yeah.
use those gels, and that doesn't help.
Right. It's a whole list of things that you're using to contribute to that. So.
Well, okay, so with the next half of the show, we're going to end this segment here, but we will come back in about 10 minutes, and we want to talk about heat damage and how that can be just as damaging as a relaxer. So a lot of people grow their hair out natural, and they feel that, I still want a straight look, and that is fine, but you really need to consider some other things. So we'll talk about that when we come back. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. Stay tuned. Turn off the video. Thanks for joining. We'll be back in 10 minutes.